Awthentik and The Beard.
This is the guy who I chose. My man, Kadarius Toney, probably the twitchiest, most agile wide receiver in the entire league right now. And I know the guy has only played a couple of games. He only appeared in 10 games last year, and it felt like he was only on the field for about 4 games. 0 touchdowns on the year. I think a lot of that has to do with the system. A lot of that has to do with the quarterback. If Daniel Jones can have a year like what I projected on the stat projection I had here earlier, 2 back, then Kadarius Toney's going to be the guy who's going to be the front runner of the wide receiver department. I really like Galladay. I think he can get back to his old form, right? But I just don't see it with this quarterback. There's the chemistry from day one was not right. You saw.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, we saw at the game live when, Galladay's on the sidelines, they tried to deflect that a little bit, me included, saying that, he was targeting his anger towards Jason Garrett. I went back and looked at it because people on Twitter was talking about it recently, and they were like, man, just look at Daniel Jones' energy when he sits on the bench when Galladay is screaming, and then look at how he kind of bucked up, like you at the club or somebody talking some shit or something, right? You'd be like, man, what the hell you just say, dog? Daniel, he had one of them looks like, but I see Galladay, producing maybe like a good 600 to 700 yards. I'm hoping that Kadarius Toney can just show y'all he's a number one. Give me like a CeeDee Lamb type of year. Show us you're a number one. And then, maybe Galladay can follow you up with like a good 600, 700, 800 yards, 3, 4 touchdowns, something like that. Somebody going to have to step up. Kenny Galladay last year, 21 yards, and he's the leader on the New York Giants. Come on, dog. that makes no sense, bro. You got wide receivers like Jamar Chase putting up 500 yards in 3 weeks of football, 4 weeks of football. And Galladay was out there for 14 games. To be our leader with just that little bit of yards makes no sense. And no receiving touchdowns. This has been a problem since Daniel Jones has gotten here. Darius Slayton has been the touchdown leader for the New York Giants for 3 consecutive seasons. Makes no sense at all. And he was the yardage leader for 2 of those 3 seasons. Last year was the only year that he wasn't the yardage leader. And Darius Slayton's a 5th-round draft pick who at best is a number 2, number 3 kind of wide receiver. I'd say number 3, to be honest. He's a Ted Ginn Jr. If you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I'm looking at this like Kadarius Toney, you got to go off. And if Kadarius Toney don't go off this year, they're going to start looking at him like, all right, it's time to move on. Let's just be real.
That's a little quick, but
yeah, I'm not saying he won't be a Giant right in 2023, but they'll start to look at him like, yo, this guy can't be a number 1. But it's starting to look like, well, who's going to be that guy? Like, I'm sure Giants fans are like, maybe it's going to be Galladay who's going to be the yardage leader again, or maybe it'll be a guy like Slayton. Maybe some have Wan'Dale Robinson as the yardage leader. I got to go with Kadarius Toney because with my eyes, what I saw in that game against Dallas, for one, he had Mike Glennon out there throwing in the ball, and he broke the rookie record for the Giants as far as yards in a game, 189 yards. That is an amazing feat for a guy like that who, was injured for most of the year.
So you're going against a division opponent on the road, and you break that record.
With a backup quarterback.
With the backup quarterback. I mean, that shows me that it's in him. Now it's just a matter of, can it be throughout an entire season?
Yep, and the health is the major concern for him. I'm more concerned about Kadarius Toney with the injuries over every player on the New York Giants. I'm worried about Daniel Jones getting hurt. I'm worried about Galladay as well, and I'm worried about Barkley. But at the same time, if Kadarius Toney gets hurt, our wide receiver room is going to take a major hit. I could lose any one of the other wide receivers before I lose Kadarius Toney. I do think that there was a focus problem with him last year, and a lot of Giants fans kind of, they don't like what Pat Leonard was doing with Kadarius Toney in the press conferences and stuff like that, trying to make him say, stupid, silly stuff. I enjoy that stuff because at the end of the day, I want Kadarius Toney to be a brick wall. I want him to just be able to be a professional, man. Like, don't allow these reporters to get you all shaken up and you start losing your cool and all that, bro. I need you to go out here and be that guy. I want to see him mature. It's just about being the guy or not being the guy. You see people come into this league with talent all the time, and then they just the glitz of the NFL, it bombards them and it overwhelms them. I think, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins was a product of that. Like, the whole being the guy he was not ready for that, and you got to understand that when you come into this league, you in the NFL and you're, everything you did in the past is cool, right? But now they looking at what can you do for us now. All that stuff you did in college is cool. Them highlights is cool. But eventually they're going to be buried by highlights either in the NFL or lowlights, and you're going to be out of the league. Kadarius Toney, it's reminding me of Percy Harvin. You got to get it together, my guy. You got to go out here and ball way out because we know when it comes to the intangibles and the skill set that Kadarius Toney has, there might be 2 wide receivers in the whole entire league that can do what this kid does. He's got to come out here and show that he could be a number one. The guy who I compare Kadarius Toney to that's in this league right now, I'm glad Monique popped up, is CeeDee Lamb. That's who Kadarius Toney can be, but more dynamic when he catches the ball in open space. CeeDee Lamb's the kind of guy who I feel like he's a ball hawk. When the ball in the air, he one of them dudes that's like, I'm getting it. You're not getting the ball. Kadarius Toney, I won't say he's got the ball hawk skills like CeeDee Lamb, but where he makes up for that is in the intermediate game. You see some of these routes where he caught the ball like 8 yards. He might only got like 6-7 yards after the catch, but he made like 8 people miss. So I think he can do these numbers. 5 touchdowns. The dude had 2 touchdowns last year, stopped at the goal line. He should be able to get 5 touchdowns with I'm trying to think of the right word, with a functioning Daniel Jones.
Awthentik and The Beard, streaming live every Tuesday, every Thursday at 7 p.m.